we are finally at part 5, and we are going to talk about the coastal real estate investor, which is totally different than the other 4 parts that we talked about. This one is pretty wide, right? We're really focusing on ROI, and where everyone has a different goal of what they want in the ROI, like good compared to great, compared to you're going to be here 6 months of the year, but you still want to invest. So let's talk about that. The avatar for this one, which a lot of the avatar just means basically a lot of the people that we work with that is a real estate investor in the Hilton Head area, probably between the ages of 35 and 60, entrepreneurs, business owners, seasoned investors. So you can definitely get into this market as a new investor, don't get me wrong. There's a ton of education, so let's dive into that. Hilton Head vacation rental. So there are tons of short-term rentals on the island, but then you also have Bluffton multifamily. So we do have a couple villas or like duets, duplexes in Bluffton, maybe in Old Town Bluffton, that do come up for sale. And then really we're just looking in all the short-term zones. So usually if something doesn't have an HOA, it does allow short-term rentals, but it just kind of depends, like, do you want your renters to be able to go to the island? And if we buy something in Hardyville, that's not going to make sense to go all the way to the island. So looking at ROIs there, a lot of times your budget is between $500,000 and $2 million, usually cash heavy or 1031 exchanges. So we do 1031 exchanges all the time. As long as you're buying a like kind property that's not a lower value, we can 1031 exchange. We'll get the intermediary involved and we'll get going on that. South Carolina is an attorney state, so they're going to help us with all that too. Some of the challenges that you're going to come up against are short-term rental regulations. So if you're here for a super high ROI, I don't want to bother you with some homes that only allow long-term, because that's a different portfolio. And so for your short-term rentals, you also need to know the HOA regulations and rules. Some of them make you live in the house for a year before you fully short-term rent it. Most of the condos on the island aren't going to have those regulations, but then you look at, if you're getting a loan, we want to make sure that that condo is warrantable. You can definitely get a loan to invest the property, and a lot of times, depending on where you're getting the rest of your money, it's a good idea because the interest rate is actually lower than where your money's currently sitting. So we can dive deeper into that separately, but really understand what kind of investor you are. What does your ROI need to look like? Bring your Excel sheets, bring your computer, your iPad, your phone, whatever. Have your Excel sheets pulled up, share them with me so that I can plug stuff in while you're looking around. Do you want to renovate, or do you want to move in? Do you want to invest in something that's already ready? So that's a question that you need to know as an investor, because there's tons of different options. I just showed one the other day it was like 170. It needed a total gut, but it was oceanfront. So that's an option. You can get oceanfront. It's probably going to be 1 bedroom depending on your price range, but you could gut something and totally rent it out for a new rental projection or history. Your goals, obviously maximizing that rental income and building appreciation, still a good purchase, right? No matter where your ROI is, you're still buying real estate. Real estate's one of the best investments across your portfolio right now. So diversify that portfolio. Vacation, second homes. Maybe you have a couple places that you're going to go to as a secondary owner, but when you're not there, you want to short-term rent it. I sell a lot of those because Hilton Head Island is incredible. And then minimize management headaches. And that is my job to you, to introduce you to property managers, rental companies, short-term and long-term. They are very different. Just like you switch your portfolio, rental management companies either really like to do short-term or long-term. Some of them only do 1 bedrooms. Some of them only do 3 or more bedrooms. So depending on the company, I can recommend those. Things that I'm going to do to help you get educated as an investor in Hilton Head for this 5th avatar situation is rental history, which is great, right? Because the proof is in the pudding there. It's black and white, like this unit rented for $40,000 in 2024. And I want to see how often it was booked and what did they charge for bookings, or a rental projection. So maybe they used it 8 months of the year and only rented it for 4 months. The history is not going to be too good, right? So they're going to get a management company to make a rental projection. They're going to tell you what that rental management company is advising that you should do, whether that's adding a pool, how many rows off the ocean is it. They're going to say what they think you can rent it for, which months rent for what? And that's called a rental projection. So obviously I have tons of property management companies, but the first step is for you and I to jump in my car, figure out whether we're short-term or long-term, which side of the island we want to be on, what's your price range, how are you paying, and then dive into that. Do we like to renovate them? Or do we want it move-in ready and we're okay with kind of paying that difference because your ROI is going to come back up? Let me know what questions you have on investment properties.